First, Secretary Chao just mentioned we've talked a lot about there are other issues other than just the privatization issue that's out there. And I think that I had several questions that should be asked. I want to make one comment, though, about contract towers. I agree with the comments that Senator Moran made, and the major request that I have of you is if this becomes a discussion in the administration, I'd like to be a part of that discussion. We've had very good successes with our contract towers, and we would be have a serious problem without that. Does that sound reasonable to you?
Yes.
Okay. Back on that issue of the privatization. I think almost every question I could ask that you have already answered, but I would like to know, is there just a short answer to a specific reason why NextGen would be better served under the system that you're proposing? Is there a short answer to that? Because I have not yet heard one that really makes a lot of sense to me.
We can procure new equipment faster.
That's a short answer. All right. Well, we'll sure do that.
Because the government procurement rules are very bureaucratic. By the time that the federal government gets the equipment, many times it's not state-of-the-art modern technology, just because of the lengthy procurement process. All
right. On Monday, and I didn't attend it, but I did read what the president was saying about the proposal. The one thing that was not mentioned was the having to do with user fees. One thing about the House bill, it specifically excluded user fees in certain areas, starting with general aviation. Then it gets to be a little bit more confusing when it goes up from there because of the quasi-general aviation organizations that are out there. So it was not directly excluded in the presentation that you folks had on Monday. Any comments about that?
Your assessment is correct. As I mentioned, we look forward to working with the committee and Congress. And if this is a point that needs to be discussed, we are willing to do so.
All right. Now, the next thing I want to bring up is we have talked to your staff quite a bit about a proposal that I have that is we refer to as the Flight Act. And what this does is give assurance to general aviation airports, those airports that receive $150,000 a year, to do a number of things, including extending that amount from 6 to 7 years, and 6 to 7 years, and then also assuring that if there is a surplus in those accounts, that they be reserved for general aviation airports as opposed to others. That's one provision in that. Another provision, I chaired the Environment Public Works Committee when we had the MAC 21 and the FAST Act. And some of the things that we successfully did, in concert, I might add, with the ranking member, Barbara Boxer, was to have some of the environmental streamlines put into effect that I think we could do and we could emulate. And so I've done that in this legislation. And we have also well, actually, I don't have time to get into a lot of detail on this, but have you had a chance to review the Flight Act with your staff?
We have. I'm interested in specifically what you have in mind, so we can have an offline discussion.
That would be good. That would be good. We'd want to do it. Senator Booker and I were interested in have actually worked together on some of the drone legislation that we've had in the past, and we've been successful. We've gotten language in there that will allow drones on the non-line of sight environment take care of problems that are like pipelines and other areas that have been successful. And while the FAA has established a process to address such applications, an application for such non-line of sight applications, the FAA has approved very, very few of them. And I am concerned about this. Is there anything that you can think of that is causing the FAA to be a lot slower than they should be in this respect on drones?
I think they're trying to be very deliberative, very careful, and they're trying to take into account all the different viewpoints. But your and Senator Booker's concerns about this issue is registered with me today, and I will go back to FAA and talk with them further.
That's good. I appreciate that, and maybe let us know what the response is. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, would the senator yield for a point of clarification? The FAA is exempt from the federal procurement rules. This was set in the 1990s. So in your examination of the procurement rules and whether or not there are delays, I point that out. You want to look to the FAA's specific procurement rules.
They're dragging their feet, and it should be done much more expeditiously.